All right, welcome to Notes 18-2. We're on page 265, and we have two learning targets. So the first learning target is to derive the general equation of a parabola given the vertex and directrix. And learning target 2 is to write the equation of a parabola given a specific vertex and directrix. All right, so let's begin. It says the graph of a quadratic function in the form y equals ax squared is a parabola with its vertex at the origin. The graph of a quadratic function in the form of y equals ax squared plus bx plus c is also a parabola, but its vertex is not necessarily at the origin. A parabolic satellite dish is modeled by the parabola y plus 1 equals 1/4 x minus 2 quantity squared. Okay. Well, first, let's talk about this form. So we know standard form is y equals ax squared plus bx plus c. We know vertex form is y equals ax minus h quantity squared plus k. And let me grab one more color, guys. Give me just a second. Right, we know this is a new form. This is called transformation form. And it's y minus k equals ax minus h squared. And so the only difference between vertex form and transformation form is that they have subtracted k over. All right. So to graph the function, first rewrite it by isolating the y term. Actually, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to isolate the y term. I'm just going to note that my k value and my h value are both opposite of the given sign because it's in transformation form. So in this case, k is -1 and h is +2. So h comma k is 2 comma -1. Consider what you've learned about transformations to predict how this parabola compares to the graph of y equals 1/4 x squared. So the a value here, right, they're the same. So in y equals 1/4 x squared versus y equals 1/4 x minus 2 squared minus 1, right, I subtracted the 1 over. In these a, right, here a is 1/4, here a is also 1/4. Here h comma k is 0, 0, and here h comma k is 2 comma -1. So the way that they would compare is that this graph, right, is shifted right 2 and down 1 unit. All right, graph y equals 1/4 x squared on the coordinate plane. So just a refresher, right, the parent function is always 0, 0, -1, 1, +1, 1, and then -2, 4, +2, 4. And so if we're scaling our y values by 1/4, then what's going to happen is that each of these heights will be 1/4 as tall. So 1/4 of 4 would be 1. 1/4 of 1 would be 1/4. And then 0 would not scale. And so our graph would be much wider than the original. Okay, so that's y equals 1/4 x squared. And then we're going to graph this by translating it. Again, it's going to go to the right 2 and down 1. So this graph will move to the right 2, 1, 2, and down 1. To the right 2, 1, 2, and down 1. To the right 2 and down 1. To the right 2 and down 1. And to the right 2 and down 1. And my new or transformed quadratic, whoops, I missed this point right here, but this would be y y plus 1 equals 1/4 x minus 2 squared. All right, let's go ahead and flip it over. So far we haven't seen anything new, right? It's a review. It says determine the vertex of the translated parabola in item 3. I actually already did. I said the vertex, h comma k, was at 2 comma negative 1. And it says, write a summary statement about what you just discovered. Examine that equation, the vertex, and the graph, and write a summary statement about what we encountered. So, the graph of y plus 1 equals 1/4 x minus 2 squared is the same as, or the same width as y equals 1/4 x squared, but is translated right 2 units and down 1 unit. It says draw a conclusion about how to use the equation of the parabola in the form y minus k equals 1/4p x minus h squared to determine the vertex of the parabola. So my conclusion is that my vertex is still h comma k, but we have to use caution because now not only does h have a negative symbol in front of it, but also k does as well. And so what will happen is both h and k will switch, and so we can identify the vertex as hk. However, watch out for the sign switch. Okay. All right, let's move along to the next page. We're on page 267. Example A. Write the equation of a parabola with the vertex at 2 comma 3, so that's my vertex, and a directrix of y equals 2. So it says to start, we're going to graph each. The reason that we need to graph each is that we need to determine two things. Number one, which direction does the graph face? And number two, what is the value of p? Okay, so they have already sketched it for us. I can see that this is an upward facing parabola because if the directrix is right here, then the focus will be right here, right? This will be 1 unit away downward. Well, then the focus is 1 unit upward. So this graph is opening upward, which means we have a y equals x squared graph. Also, I know that p, they say determine the value of p. P is 1. They've already done it, right? P equals 1. And it says the focus and the directrix must be equidistant from any point on the parabola, and p is the distance between the vertex and the directrix. And so then it says to write the equation of the parabola. This is what we've already been doing, but we're now using, instead of using vertex form, we are using transformation form. So we have y minus k equals 1/4p. By the way, 1/4p, a is equal to 1/4p. I think you can see that here. And then x minus h squared. And so we're going to put our vertex. Our vertex was at 2 comma 3, and our p value was 1. So y minus 3 equals 1/4, p is 1, x minus 2 quantity squared. All right. And now let's go on to the try these. So it says to write the equation of parabola with the given vertex and directrix. So we've already shown that we want to graph it first. So we're going to graph our vertex is at 4, 1. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. There's my vertex. And the directrix is at y equals -3. Remember, y equals, these are always horizontal. Y equals some number, so like y equals k is horizontal. And then like x equals, say, h is going to be a vertical line. So y equals negative 3 is 1, 2, 3 right here. And so I know that the distance from the focus to the directrix is equivalent to the vertex to the directrix, from the vertex to the directrix is the same as the distance from the vertex to the focus. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4 units. That means my focus is 1, 2, 3, 4 units up here. There's my focus, and my graph is opening upward. All right, so P is the directional distance between V and F, which is 4. And this is a y equals graph again, because it's facing upward, so it's going to be y minus k equals 1 over 4p x minus h squared. And I'm going to substitute in each of my values. So my vertex is at 4, 1, so this will be y minus 1 equals 1 over 4 times p, which is 1 over 4 times 4, 1 over 16, x minus 4h, right, squared. There's my h. All right, and next, the vertex is at 1, 1. So again, I'm gonna sketch this. My vertex, is at 1, 1. And it says that my directrix is at y equals negative 11. That's way down here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, negative 11. So my vertex and my directrix, they are 12 units apart. That means my focus is way up here, right? 12 units above 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So the distance P from the vertex to the directrix, to the focus is 12 units. And my vertex is 1, 1. So again, this is a upward facing quadratic. It's opening upward. It's very, very, very wide. My equation would be y minus k. So y minus 1 is equal to 1 over 4p, but p is 12, and then x minus h squared. So this would be y minus 1 is equal to 1 over 48 x minus 1 squared. All right, let's go ahead and try the check your understanding. So it says identify the ordered pair that describes the location of the vertex for an equation in the form of x minus h equals y minus k squared, and compare this response to item 6. All right, in this case, this is still my vertex. H comma k is still the vertex. We just have to take note that h and k will be reversed because the equation will be for a sideways facing quadratic. All right, next it says write an equation for a parabola with vertex at 5, negative 2. So I'm going to sketch it. 5, negative 2. 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, negative 2. There's my vertex. And my directrix is at y equals negative 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. That means that my focus is 2 units above right there. There's my focus. This is an upward facing. P is 2. And so my equation would be y minus negative 2, which is y plus 2, equals 1 over 4p, so 1 over 8, x minus h, quantity squared. All right, guys, that was the notes for 18-2. Hopefully you found them as easy as I did. Have a great evening.